Hey, I want to talk real quick about something that has been sort of swirling around as I think about two different kind of things. Sort of sits at the confluence of thoughts I've had about being a band leader, how to do that job, how to be more effective, more efficient, and then also my recent experience being a sub, being a short-term fill-in player, and needing to, kind of do the best I can to nail simple and you know get in there and make it good enough to to get the job done, but recognizing the at times very intense time constraints on getting ready. And what that is charts. I want to talk about charts and how to convey from band leader to sub, and how you want songs done. So let's, for the sake of argument, let's put aside let's limit this to original projects where there's not this extra crutch of you could always go online and find some charts, right? You could find, well, let me give you just a song list and then you go do some research. Let's talk about a situation in which you, the band leader, are the gatekeeper, the curator of this material, and you need to get somebody else up to speed. I could definitely improve my own versions of this, thinking about this in terms of what, some challenges I've had recently as a sub, and then it's sort of flipping that around, thinking, man, I haven't made this as easy as I could for the people who have had to sub for me. I've been fortunate to have some very gracious, very talented people who did some of that lifting for me, but I could do a better job myself. So here are some just general thoughts off the top of my head. So I think that your goal ultimately here as the provider of a chart is to convey the sort of perfect balance of like kind of the immediacy of the information, the accuracy of the information, and the depth of the information. Like you don't want to go too far in any direction. You don't want to go too light in any direction. You want the thing to have just enough of all of that, so that whatever style of reader or of player you've got, or whatever the particular situation of the moment is demanding, whether it's like, oh shoot, what is that chord? And I could glance at the thing and my eye would immediately go where it needs to be, and it would immediately give me the answer to that, for instance, as one example. So what should, beyond those sort of esoteric general guiding principles, what are some of the specific things that I need to know as a sub? Well, I need to know the structure. I need to know, like, okay, how's it start, how's it end, what happens in between, and is it one of the expected structures that I you know I think happen most of the time? Is this a verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus? Is there an intro? Is there this? What do we do? Is there a stop time somewhere in here? Is there a landmine that I need to watch out for? And then, the other, like, if that's priority 1B, say neck and neck, equal priority is, what are the chords? Like, at least give me that. What are the chords that are going to go by here? That can help me as a bass player. That can help, any other instrumental players. Like, that's the minimum kind of standard of letting them know this is, what's the harmonic structure of this song. Some other things that can be helpful, I mentioned kind of landmine. So any kind of special moment that has to be done, or that, it's going to derail the regular players if we don't do this stop time here, if we don't end it with this figure, if we don't do this figure, hit this ensemble figure together. If something has to be done, then it's got to get included. And then a sense of like what the feel is, a sense of like, like in a jazz setting, we'd say it's swing, it's shuffle, it's a bossa, it's it's a bossa, it's a samba, it's whatever, it's a ballad, it's brushes, whatever the thing is going to be. In a rock setting, some sense of it, it's a straight ahead rock, or it's a Precaro kind of shuffle, it's a Roxanne sort of thing, or it's a flat tire, it's bluesy, whatever it is that's like a clue would be great. So I think about how jazz charts are put together as kind of a good example of something that is balanced in the way that I'm talking about. It's got that sense of a feel. It's got, a key, and it's got a, time signature, and then it's got, we're just going chords. And we kind of expect in the jazz world, kind of expect that songs fall into the 90% of the material that we're going to like call on short notice. The 90% of the standards are going to be either AABA, or a small set of them are going to, or a minority, but a sizable minority of them are going to be 12-bar blues. So I just want to know, which one is it? Is it AABA, and then that's the head, and then we're going to do that. Each soloist is going to go through the head once or twice a piece, and then we're going to come back and reprise it to take the tune out, and we'll just kind of do it on the fly. That is a typical kind of jazz instruction. With like popular songs, rock and roll songs, it's more your baby, and you probably have some little twist on how you get out of this. We slow down, we just stop, it's just me, whatever it is. You got to make some note of that, and then again, just lay it out. If you are laying it out, remember this sort of immediacy. Here's another good best practice. If this thing is in like 4-bar phrases, make your chart, make that really obvious where those 4 are. Don't go 5 and then 3 on the next line, because that is an invitation for me to mistake, for me to glance at the second bar, that group of 3, and treat that like that's the first as opposed to the second in a group of 4. Hopefully you follow what I just said. So be thinking ahead about like, how can I make sure that this is like idiot proof, that this thing is as digestible as it possibly could be at a glance. So whether it's making it big and bold, it reads well, it's not like light and wispy, it photocopies well, it prints out well, it's a sizable piece of text that anyone can glance and look at without putting on their reading glasses, or whatever whatever the case may be. Just try to think ahead and try to think, how can I make this easier? How can I chunk this information? And how can I say, hey, it's mostly this thing is just these 4 chords, but the words change, whatever it is. Get to the heart of it, put it on the page, get it in front of them, and then sort of road test it. If you find that you have somebody to sort of give you feedback that this was hard to understand, then, make a new chart as necessary. And then, just keep thinking ahead about how you can best balance those concerns to get the best outcome you can, to give your short-term sub fill-in players a significant advantage, a head start into their understanding, and to respect the fact that probably, you're paying them whatever, $50 to show up to 1 gig. Probably it's not fair to burden them with the need to do hours of rehearsal on their own, or several rehearsals with you to get ready for something like that. Like, you want to respect that, sub fill-in players want it to be easy, and they want to show up and play, or as close to that as possible, and kind of keep it at the right value. So anyway, hopefully that all makes sense. Let's nail simple. Let's do that together. Hand me that chart, and I am ready to rock. All right, here we go.